What is going on, guys? It is Fluxified here and welcome back to another video. Today I have an interesting one for you. We're going to be talking about my personal wish list for what I would like to see in the next gen version to Rust Console Edition. Now, I do just want to stress these are my own opinions. At the end of the day, I'm not a developer, so I can't tell you 100% what we're going to get. But what I really want to do here is I just want to give my own opinion and ultimately just communicate to you all about my personal thoughts of what I want to see in this update. So to begin, let's just reiterate again what we already know we're going to get in the next gen update, and that would be in the form of enhanced graphics and resolution. So we've already seen quite a few images at this point of the next gen version. The developers have been really kind in showing us so many pictures already, considering the next gen version was actually only recently announced. Like, it hasn't even been a month yet, but we've already seen a video and several pictures of this next gen version, and as you'd expect, it looks graphically a lot better. If we look at the tugboat picture they've showed us in the past and compare it to the old gen one, I mean, the difference is crazy. So 100% we know we're getting better graphics in this version. I also talked previously about how I believe we're getting increased resolutions. If you look at this picture here with the bear, and if you specifically look in the background at the foliage and environment and compare it to the old gen version, I mean, there is a big difference. You can see it's a lot clearer in the next gen version, and that is indicative of the game running at a higher resolution. So again, these things we know we're getting. Higher resolution and enhanced graphics. So moving on now to my personal wish list of what I would like to see in the next gen version. Coming in at our number 1 spot, I think you all know what this is going to be, and that would be minicopters. I think this goes without saying, most of the community want minicopters as soon as possible, and I'm one of them. You know, I really like the idea of being able to travel through the sky. That just adds a whole different dynamic to Rust Console Edition, as you really have to think about how you're going to defend your roof a lot more than currently, because currently you can just surround your base in like 50 different walls, and you know, you never have to worry about anyone getting through all that. You can pretty much just sit on your roof and know you are going to be safe. But when minicopters are in the game, you're not going to be safe. You know, there's going to be people trying to get on your roof, raid you from above. You're going to see a lot more top downs, and you're going to see a lot more counters as well, like oil rig and cargo, for instance. You can just fly a mini right at them, bomb the mini, and just drop on the roof of the monument, and you know, you're going to be able to compete for monuments a lot easier. Overall though, I just think it will be amazing being able to travel through the air. You're going to get to places a lot faster, and it's just going to make the game a lot easier and feel more alive as well, as you look towards the sky and you see a mini flying in the distance. So yeah, I think minis definitely coming in at number 1. With minis, they'd also have to add the Airwolf vendor to Bandit Camp, and we'd also have to see SAM sites in monuments such as launch sites, as well as SAM sites on players' bases. So there is a little bit more work they'd need to do, as opposed to simply adding minis. You would need to see these other things as well. But ultimately, now we know that they're working on this next gen version, minis definitely tops my list. Now moving on to the number 2 spot, this would be new weapons. Now, I have talked about this before in my previous videos, but I really think it's time for a meta shift in the game. For example, if we look at the prim phase of fights currently, most people have a bow, a nail gun, a crossbow, maybe a revolver, you know, that kind of thing. But if they decided to add the 4-shot mini crossbow or the tier 1 SMG, those things are just going to add to the dynamic of primitive fights. It's going to add a bit of variance in the mix, and not everyone is going to be carrying the same weapons. It's really going to change things up, and that meta shift is something I'd really like to see in the next gen version on release. Even if we look towards the tier 3 side, the PC version of Rust has the SKS and the minigun, so even there we're getting a shift in the meta in tier 3 fights. If we were to see that in Rust console, I know especially the SKS is a particularly loved weapon on the PC side of things, offering a similar feel to the semi-auto rifle, but with a little more damage. So I think that just about sums up my number 2 point. Overall, just more weapons from the PC version, something to spice up the mix for existing players, and really just throw that variance into fights. Although I have heard the tier 1 SMG is really bad, but I don't know if that's true. So coming in at our number 3 spot, this is a very specific monument, and just before I go any further, I do want to say, I know there's quite a few monuments we don't have on console at this point. There's the junkyard, the missile silo, the train tunnels, the abandoned military base. There is quite a few, but the one that really sticks out to me that I would really want to see in the game that really makes my wish list is the missile silo. Now, I know what you're thinking, you know, train tunnels, insane. Why are you not saying train tunnels, Fluxified? So Missile Silo is a tier 3 monument. It gives you insane amounts of components. You can get diesel, you can get military crates, you know, you're going to come out of that monument absolutely set for the wipe. But the best thing about Missile Silo is it is a monument that specifically allows players to counter it. If you look specifically at the current counterable monuments and events in the game, we have the heli, we have Bradley, we have the oil rigs, and we have cargo ship. Other than that, there's not really much counterable things in the game, but adding Missile Silo would not just give players another insane way to get insane loot, but it also would act as a valid counterable monument for players to come and compete for, which really would throw a spanner into the mix and drive up the gameplay of countering monuments. It's obviously a land-based monument as well, whereas 2 of the other counterable monuments, the oil rig and cargo ship, are in the ocean, so it really does give players another thing to fight for, and I really think it would be great because Missile Silo is something that players can run throughout the whole wipe. It's not going to be something that you just run once and then once you get to tier 3 you never need to run it again. It's really going to be a long-term wipe monument, and I really think it would be a great monument to entice players to run, and that's why it takes the number 3 spot on my list. So that just about sums up my wish list for the next gen version of Rust console. Once again, I do just want to stress this is just my personal wish list. At the end of the day, I don't know what we're going to get, but you know, we can hope. We can hope and pray that we get something absolutely amazing, and you know what? I actually do think that the developers will deliver. From what we've seen so far, the next gen version is quite far along and it looks crazy good, so you know, we can only cross our fingers and hope. I am curious though what you would all like to see in the next gen version. What content would you like to see on day 1? Do you agree with the 3 things I have said I would love to see? Let me know in the comments down below. But I think that just about sums up this video. Thank you so much for watching. I have been Fluxified, and I'll see you on the beach.